Success isn't given, it's earned. And earning it means becoming the person who deserves it. The bottom line is where we cut through the chaos to simplify success, uncovering the strategies, mindset, and resilience it takes to win. Real stories, expert insights, and practical tools. Because the only way to the top is by putting in the work. This is The Bottom Line.
Welcome to The Bottom Line. I'm your host, Ryan Herpin, and on this show, we like to cut through the chaos to simplify what does it take to be successful. Now, many talented professionals, business owners, and leaders work incredibly hard, yet still struggle to gain recognition, build influence, or communicate their value effectively. Often the problem isn't a lack of expertise, it's a lack of clarity. So today's guest is someone I am over the top excited to introduce, Wayne Adam Greer, founder and chief clarity strategist of the Authority Edge. Through speaking, coaching, workshops, and live experiences like Clarity Lab, Wayne helps people simplify their message, communicate with confidence, and become known for the difference they actually make. His philosophy is simple but extremely powerful. Not louder, clearer. Wayne, welcome to The Bottom Line. It is such a pleasure to have you on the show today.
Oh, well, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure. I've been looking forward to this.
Likewise. You know, this is something, as I've had the privilege to get to know Wayne, I would say from the first interaction, it was very clear he's somebody that I've got to get in front of our audience and to really kind of dig into his brain because, goodness, the amount of experience and knowledge is incredible. So as we begin, I want every viewer to ask themselves one question. If someone asked what matters, really what makes you different, rather, could you explain it clearly in 30 seconds or less? Now, I can tell you personally, this was a really hard one for me for a very long time. So in this first segment, we're exploring why so many capable people struggle to communicate their value and how clarity creates opportunity. So Wayne, I'm gonna jump right in with a hard hitter, big question, kind of dig into that beautiful brain of yours. So really just to kick this off, why do so many talented people struggle to communicate what they do effectively?
Well, honestly, it's a curse of knowledge. You know, we just know too much, and so we just start rambling. We try to think we got to put all of our pedigree out there. Hey, who are you? And here it is, and then we get lost, tongue-tied, insecure as soon as we start rambling, and we start getting nervous. So it's just learning to. What do I do? Who do I serve? And how does it help? Once we get that down, it's easy to communicate. But yet it starts by knowing who you are, yourself.
So it's that confidence is a major part of it. And confidence, I think, comes a lot from identity, right? You know, there's goodness, I think it's Alex Hormozi who said something that I find to be absurdly powerful, and I'm never going to forget it. And to put it simply, he says, confidence is the result of evidence. So don't work on building confidence, work on building evidence, because confidence is automatic, right? But I think confidence is a big part of identity, right? When you are getting results, your identity breeds that confidence. But, you know, as I've gotten to know you, I'm curious about something. You've mentioned clarity crisis to me before, and I would like you to kind of dive into what does it mean when you're talking about clarity crisis?
Well, the first thing I just want to touch on is that the difference between arrogance and clarity, that gets a lot of people struggle too, is that's where that crisis comes. They're afraid I'm sounding arrogant, so they hide. But it really, we have to know who we are, and that not who people have told us, not who our upbringing told us we were, but who are we? And so it really matters what lives in your heart. What is the thing that you believe the world needs to hear? And then being bold with that, stepping out and just explaining that in a matter that communicates, not just educating is in there too, but people need to understand it. When you get it done, they should be able to, oh, I get it. And if they can't, then they're moving on. And so that's where that crisis comes in. We think we're saying what needs to be said, but the listener's not really hearing what we need to be saying.
You know, just because we say it in a way that we think is simple doesn't mean someone understands it. And I find that to be interesting. And you and I have had an opportunity to sit down and talk about, you know, the Bible and God and Jesus and stuff. And one thing I like to bring up all the time when it comes to clarity and messaging is like the parables, right? A lot of parables were said about the same things just in different ways because, Well, different people had to hear it a different way, but something, not louder, clear, right? That concept, it makes me think, why is clarity more important than visibility?
Yeah. Well, that whole not loud or clear idea. What is the saying? The squeaky wheel gets the oil. We've been in a culture. Our whole environment says, be loud, be out there, show up on stage. Command the audience. But what does that do? I mean, my honestly, for me, when I get people in my presence like that, I just get turned off. I usually just quit listening to what they're saying. Um, it's not out of judgment. It's just I just feel that, wow, man, you're bulldozing, and the crowd doesn't need it. So learning to read the room is a big thing too. But if you start to talk and everybody's kind of looking around and they're bored, they're glazing over, that's your cue. Shut up.
It's so funny that you say that. One of the biggest challenges I've learned when doing, public speaking and stuff is I do really well in one-to-ones and smaller groups, or at least in places where I can see the audience, because the body language, the nonverbal cues and things, it gives me, it's intelligent communication. The nonverbal cues and things that you can pick up on that really kind of tell you, are you going the right direction? Are you making a shift? It helps with the clarity, because the concept of just because I'm loud and out there and in front that you're just going to automatically understand the value I'm trying to give you. No, it's let me make sure that it's hitting home. If I don't see that it's clicking, I've got to shake things up, got to change it, got to deliver it different.
Right.
There's so many communications coaches out there that talk about a few major things, like the strategic pause, the changing the pace of the conversation between what's really important and what's really not that important. There's so many strategies that get people to really hone in and absorb what's being said, but I think it's masked a lot by this identity of, just because I'm here or I'm big, you're just going to pick up on what I'm saying. Do you see that a lot? Is that something you recognize in professionals?
Yeah, and even in my own life, I'm tall, I'm big, and when I show up, I've had to battle my whole life to not make that look like I'm showing up, and it could be intimidating. So I've had to learn to balance that so that I don't that I invite people to listen. If I'm not earning that right to be heard, then nothing I say matters from that point forward. And so it's not getting up there and just regurgitating your whole pedigree, and this is blah, 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 and making it sound impressive. People need to feel that they can approach you, that they can trust you, and feel like you have something to say, not just a sales pitch, something to actually say, something that's going to be of value to them. You want them to hear it and go, well, I'd really like to hear more about that. You want to touch something in their own situation, and if you don't touch that, then they glaze over and move on.
That's a really fair point. And on this note, I'm actually kind of a little bit curious on your opinion of something that I'm always trying to look for. What are the biggest communication mistakes professionals make when they try to describe themselves or their business?
Well, again, I think we think it's our moment to shine, and here's my diplomas and I'm this and I've done this and I've been over the world and here's my 600 books, and we try too much to kind of almost brag a little bit because we think that's what establishes our authority. And there's definitely value to that. Having a book, having a history, a track record matters. There's no doubt about that. But it's got to be more than just I'm visually impressive. I'm loud, and that works in some situations, but it won't work for a lifetime audience. It may work in a rally, get guys pumped up. You go to a men's rally, for example, and we want to hear that yeah, and we leave all fired up. But a week later, are we doing anything with what we heard? So in the moment, it feels great. It excites a crowd. It excites ourselves, but it's really not leaving anything that they can grab onto and run with.
So, I can feel the passion when you talk about this. And that leads me to one of my favorite questions I could ever ask you is, what about clarity made you so passionate about this? What fulfilling aspect do you get from helping people really create clarity in their message?
Oh, man, that's a huge, I could spend the rest of the show. There's It thrills me when I see a light turn on, when I see someone, because I don't really care what it is you do. I don't care what your space is. Homemaker, Sunday school teacher, business, it doesn't really matter what it is. You have something of value that the world needs, every single one of us. And so when I see that register and their light goes on and they get excited now, um, from the Clarity Lab, that's really where the focus is letting people talk. It's a very interactive space, but when I see people get it, that aha moment, I don't, from that point forward, they can sell themselves to any crowd. So it doesn't really matter what your product is, so to speak. It's who are you, and can you impact life around you? When that clicks and that everything starts firing on all 8 cylinders, it's beautiful. I just love it.
It's like that moment when you see the messenger become the message. It's like when you
Yeah.
see the person who's operating become the product itself. There is a lot of power to that, and it's something that I think does strike us deeply because we see there's real value and impact in somebody's life when they can be that passionate and clear about what it is they're trying to accomplish. So, to our audience, clarity isn't just about communication. It's about understanding who you are, what you do, and why it really matters. So we'll be right back to discuss authority, influence, and how people, well, become known for the value they actually create. So grab some coffee, stretch out, grab a pen and pad, do whatever it is you got to do. We'll be right back on the bottom line.